Tomorrow night on Twitch and YouTube at 9 p.m. Eastern, join me as we'll play Super Bowl trivia for cash prizes. Link to play below. And now, on with our feature presentation. When you think of Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa Bay, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Odds are, you thought of one thing, and one thing only. It's the giant pirate ship in the north end zone. This 103-foot ship is unique to Tampa, and much like the pools in Jacksonville at TIAA Bank Field, or the old tank at the Orange Bowl where Flipper the Dolphin used to hang out, it's a feature that makes it stand out from every other stadium, and might be the most recognizable in-stadium feature in the NFL. It might also be the coolest in-stadium feature in the entire league, and maybe even in American sports. Seriously, it's a giant pirate ship inside a football stadium where you can hang out, and it's a giant pirate ship that blasts cannons every time the Buccaneers score points or win a game. What's not to like? It's a feature that, by all accounts, does not belong in an NFL stadium, and it's a feature that seems like an overambitious 8-year-old's dream, and here it is in the flesh. When Raymond James Stadium opened up in 1998, we still had tons of cookie-cutter stadiums around the league where you couldn't tell the difference between any of them. Seriously, if I removed all the paint from the end zones, took away all the signage, and stripped all the color off of the seats, you would not be able to tell the difference between Riverfront Stadium, Veterans Stadium, and Three Rivers Stadium. And here was Raymond James Stadium saying, "Screw that, here's a pirate ship." It's amazing. So why do I bring this up? Because I don't think anyone expected the uproar, the outrage, and the backlash that came from the pirate ship for Super Bowl XXXV between the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Now, this was not Tampa's first time hosting the game, as they hosted it twice before, hosting Super Bowl XVIII in 1984 and Super Bowl XXV in 1991. You can learn more about the former and what a disaster that was by clicking the card in the upper right corner. However, this was the first time that Raymond James Stadium was hosting the game, as after playing the first two Tampa Super Bowls at the old, outdated, and antiquated Tampa Stadium, they were going to play this third one to start off a new century in a new state-of-the-art venue. So you would think that this would be smooth sailing, right? Well, not quite. Because there was a bizarre controversy about what the heck to do with that pirate ship. And honestly, considering how uncompetitive the battle between the Ravens and the Giants was on the field, the battle between all parties involved regarding the status of the pirate ship might have been the most interesting part of the big game. Because this is the story behind the bizarre controversy that took place at Super Bowl XXXV. Before I talk about the actual controversy and what caused it in the first place, we need some context to understand just what the heck this pirate ship was. The crazy part about the pirate ship is that this was just an afterthought. It was not supposed to be in the original plans for the stadium. This will become important later in our story, because it makes the problem for the Super Bowl not even the slightest bit foreseeable. Even though the stadium broke ground on October 15, 1996, the pirate ship wasn't even designed on paper until April 1998. That just seems crazy. Only 5 months away from the start of the NFL season did someone think, hey, what if we just changed all the plans for the architecture and design and just built a giant pirate ship in one of the end zones? Only in mid-July, with not even 2 months to go before the season started, did construction begin on the pirate ship. And the pirate ship wasn't even a correct pirate ship, and instead was a Spanish ship that wasn't used by pirates, but rather was the ship that the pirates were trying to capture. As Eric Crotty, the project manager for this project, said on this, a typical pirate ship was often a sloop that was more battle-ready and swifter. However, regardless of the historical inaccuracies of the thing, when Brian Glazer, the executive vice president for the Buccaneers, spoke on the ship, he wasn't wrong with his bold statement. He said, "This ship will become the most recognizable stadium feature in the world. We believe it will become a symbol for the team, a source of pride for our players and fans, and an intimidation factor for visiting teams." And Glazer wasn't entirely wrong, as this $3 billion ship was quite easily the most recognizable stadium feature in the NFL, and still is to this day. Maybe not the world, as the Wembley Arch has it beat, and maybe not even the country, as the Green Monster is way more iconic, but definitely in the NFL. Regardless, the ship was a huge success, and still remains well loved to this day, as it's tough to imagine the Buccaneers playing anywhere else, and in a stadium that didn't have a pirate ship. That's how integral the ship is to the look of the stadium and to the game day experience. But remember what I said about when the ship was conceived. Super Bowl XXXV was awarded to Tampa in October of 1996. The pirate ship wasn't even an idea until April of 1998. And as cool as the giant pirate ship is, what does having a giant pirate ship in your stadium do? It takes up lots and lots of real estate, as in real estate that can be used for temporary seating. It's just common sense. It's like if you wanted, for some reason, to install a giant water fountain in the middle of your home. Looks super cool, and it's definitely aesthetically pleasing, but it means that there's fewer people that can fit in your house now if you want to throw a party or something along those lines. In the eyes of many people around the area, the pirate ship as it pertained to the Super Bowl was a non-issue. They were going full speed ahead to have the ship in place during the game as a fixed feature of the venue. Said Henry Saverdera, the executive director of the Tampa Hillsborough Sports Authority, on the stadium and its pirate ship, "When we constructed Raymond James Stadium 3 years ago, we had a Super Bowl commitment. I think it's going to be a great facility for the Super Bowl." Except there was one party that wasn't too pleased about this idea, and that was none other than the NFL. Because unsurprisingly, the NFL cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's money. As things stood, Raymond James Stadium only held 66,321 seats, making it awfully small to host a Super Bowl. For some perspective, both of the previous Super Bowls at Tampa Stadium drew around 73,000 fans, and if Raymond James Stadium stayed put at that capacity, it would have been the third least attended Super Bowl of all time at the time, only ahead of Super Bowl I, which was at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum and didn't sell out, and Super Bowl XXVI at the Metrodome, which got around 63,000 people. Now, the officials at Raymond James Stadium had an expansion plan in place for the game, where they would construct 6,500 temporary seats to bring it up to 72,000. But this plan was with the pirate ship still intact. The NFL, if at all possible, wanted to bring the capacity up to 75,000, and that meant dismantling the pirate ship for the game to add 3,000 temporary seats. And the NFL was adamant about this, that the pirate ship had to be removed for the game. Jim Steig, the NFL's director of special events, said on this, "All along, we thought that the maximum capacity of 75,000 was important. That was one of the selling points for them, and a long-term selling point. That's also 5,000 more people you please, and of course, 5,000 more tickets you sell." Now, the average ticket price for Super Bowl XXXV was somewhere in the ballpark of $325, which seems almost comical looking at what ticket prices are 20 years later. But let's assume that, because this is the Super Bowl, all of those 3,000 seats sell out. Because why wouldn't they? Literally, besides the first Super Bowl, every single Super Bowl has sold out. With an average ticket price of $325, that's an extra $975,000 in the NFL's pockets. And the cost of moving the ship and reassembling it was $200,000. So even with that taken into account, the NFL still comes out on top by a lot. They make more money, they please more fans, and they bring more people into Tampa, boosting the city's economy even more. The NFL had its incredibly valid reasons for not wanting the pirate ship there for the Super Bowl. However, Joel Glazer, the executive vice president for the Buccaneers, didn't see it that way. The pirate ship was too important to the identity of the stadium. As Glazer said, the ship has become the icon of the stadium, and everyone involved would like to keep it there. so we're going to try and do that. There's always a way to get things done. This was an absolutely heated feud between the NFL, who wanted more money, wanted more fans to be happy, wanted the economy to be boosted even more, wanted the Buccaneers to honor their agreement with what the capacity would be for the Super Bowl, and wanted a fairer fight if the Buccaneers made the Super Bowl, seeing as the pirate ship might give them an unfair home field advantage, and the Buccaneers, who wanted to preserve the identity of the stadium. So you would think that the NFL would win in the end, right? You would think that the NFL could issue an ultimatum and say that if the Bucs don't remove the pirate ship, they will never host another Super Bowl after this one, or something along those lines. However, the NFL did not do that, and there's a reason that you've probably seen the pirate ship during these shots of the Super Bowl, where the Ravens won 34-7. As a side note, if you want to learn more about that game, click the card in the upper right corner. And that's because the Buccaneers got an assist from an awfully important partner. Because while the NFL was willing to go up against the Buccaneers for an extra $1 million in ticket revenue, they weren't willing to go up against CBS. When CBS found out that the pirate ship was in danger of being dismantled for the Super Bowl, they threw a fit. The pirate ship, in their eyes, was the perfect place to do their pregame show and their postgame show. As Sean McManus, the president of CBS Sports, flat out said on this, "The ship is our #1 choice for locations for pregame and postgame." It makes complete sense as to why. Number one, it just looks cool. How often do you get to do a pregame show on a pirate ship? There's a novelty factor in that, where people might tune in just to watch, increasing the ratings, and therefore, increasing the advertising dollars. Number two, it overlooks the field and the crowd. With a lot of the show coverage, usually, you've got to do it outside of the stadium, or on a makeshift set on the field, or somewhere awkward in the stadium. But here, you can set everything up permanently, since no one else would be atop the ship, and you've got a perfect view throughout the entire night. Plus, you can hoist the CBS Sports flag atop the pirate ship, and bring more eyeballs and brand awareness to your network that way, which is what they wound up doing. Sure, the $1 million for the NFL in ticket sales would be nice, but considering how much money the NFL has already, was it really worth ticking off CBS to do so, especially when they were so adamant about having the pirate ship in the first place, and when they were so insistent on the fact that the pirate ship could make for a better broadcast? Not so much. Today, the pirate ship has remained in place for every single game, including Super Bowl 43 in 2009 and Super Bowl 55 in 2021, where the Buccaneers were the home team. It's ironic that one of the NFL's biggest fears about keeping the pirate ship, which was an unfair home field advantage for the Buccaneers, ended up coming true when they became the first team ever to host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. Granted, the ship did not fire celebratory cannons like it does for typical Bucs home games, but it was in place. And today, the idea of dismantling the pirate ship for anything seems absurd, because it is such an integral part of Raymond James Stadium, and is such an integral part of the identity of the stadium, as well as the entire game day experience down there. But at Super Bowl 35, oddly enough, that was a hot controversy that took a lot of heated discussions and arguments to get resolved. And you can thank CBS for their efforts to make the Super Bowl at Tampa what it is today. Because at Super Bowl 35, we were dangerously close to having the iconic pirate ship get shipwrecked. Get your official Jaguar Gator 9 merchandise by going to jg9shop.com, and be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at Jaguar Gator 9. To see college football videos, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To see highlight videos of players throughout the history of the NFL, subscribe to JG9 Highlights. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.